All right, we are back on the Real News Radio, and we were just joined by a local patriot that was listening and stopped by, Louis Cordova. We'd like to thank you for coming by. Some words of inspiration. He's had enough too, and he wanted to come by and say a few words. We appreciate that. He says he's going to join us on April 15th, so we're looking forward to that. Spread the word. Let's make this thing massive. Let's have 500 people, 5,000 people. Let's be in the streets of Statesville and say that we no longer accept this tyranny. Restore the Constitution. So something I wanted to mention, and hopefully, unless something changes, we'll be joined by Bob Chapman at about 10:15. But this past week, we saw the staggering spectacle of a sitting president effectively firing the CEO of a private company. Heralds the beginning of a new phase in government takeover of free enterprise, according to many shocked economic observers. Obama's decision to send GM CEO Rick Wagner packing on Sunday afternoon stunned a previously buoyant stock market into a 250-point drop on Monday as traders struggled to digest the unprecedented move. This is just the latest expansion of Obama and his administration's power grab, using the economic crisis created by the central bankers that pulled their strings as an excuse to pose as the saviors, while completely sinking any chance of a real recovery by not allowing incompetent banks and corporations to fail. And something we were talking about with Jeff here before you got here, you know, they claim this is a housing crisis. They've thrown enough money at it to pay off everyone's house in the whole country. So obviously that's not the case, and they have done absolutely nothing to help the American people in this. They're talking about build this, build that, but they're doing nothing for the American people. Jeff's idea was to give every retired person $1 million and require them to pay off their house, to buy a new car. The government would get 40 or 50% back in taxes. That would stimulate the economy. I tell you what, that's a much better idea than what the federal government's had, because they are controlled and owned by the Federal Reserve bankers. The Secretary of the Treasury owns the government, runs the government from that post. Jeff, you got comments you want to make?
You forgot the important thing.
Okay.
If you make them retire, well, they're retirement age anyway, after you give them $1 million, you create 50 million new jobs.
There you go, 50 million new jobs. You heard it right there from Jeff Watts. He's got the economic stimulus plan that will, if it don't completely work, it's a darn better one than our bought and paid for controlled government has come up with. So we are joined by Mr. Bob Chapman. So let's go ahead and go with that. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster today. Well, hey, we appreciate that, Jeff. And Mr. Chapman, are you with us? Sorry about the little bit of confusion there. We are
There was a day in America when we the people had great respect for the police. When they would ask you how you're doing, they sincerely wanted to know because they cared. That day is past with hardly a whisper or complaint. Today, when a police officer asks you how you are, they're not doing it because they care, but rather set you at ease so you feel their follow-up questions are friendly and benign. For most of us, our likely contact with the police is during a traffic stop. And this, by the way, is actually an arrest. If you don't think so, try to leave the scene of the stop, or not stop in the first place. And the follow-up questions inevitably will be, where are you coming from? Where are you going? What are you doing? Do you have anything illegal in your possession? What they are not doing is being friendly, but rather they are fishing for information to give them the best probable cause to search you and your vehicle. There are so many laws today that almost everyone is guilty of something at all times. Is it unreasonable to think that every individual will know every law for which they may be held accountable? Take this for example. You are heading home on a Saturday morning from your bank downtown and you get stopped for some perceived infraction. You answer the questions above: the bank, downtown, home, nothing, and no. This seems perfectly reasonable and safe. You are just complying with the friendly officer. What you don't know is that a different bank downtown was just robbed and you have given the cop probable cause to search you and your vehicle under suspicion that you are one of the robbers. Maybe this example hits closer. You're heading to your diabetic parents' home for a visit and you're going to deliver a box of 100 insulin syringes. You think nothing of it and mention the syringes to the police officer. Clearly, You are not only being friendly and answering the questions honestly. Well, congratulations. If you live in Illinois, you just admitted to a crime. Possession or transportation of more than 20 syringes by anyone not a health professional is a Class A misdemeanor for the first offense and a Class 4 felony after that.